Well, welcome to another episode of Sheddock Customs TV. If you're new to the channel, then thanks for joining us. And if you're a subscriber, thanks very much for coming back. If you're new to the channel, there's loads of videos to watch. But today we're going to be concentrating on the next step on the 1936 Norton. So I'm going to catch you up with where we were and what we're going to do today, which is basically we're going to remove the belly pan and we're going to do some work on the front brake. And we're also going to find out what's going on with the steering, because there seems to be some play in that, which is not what we should have. So anyway, sit back, get a cup of tea, and let's get into it. Right, so as a brief overview, just to catch everyone up, we've put this new to the bike TT9 carburetor, modified the inlet manifold to make all that fit, and we've put another magneto in, KD1 Racing Mag. I've still got to lock wire the bolts up for this, so I probably won't show you that because you've seen me lock wire stuff before. And then we're going to take the belly pan off, which for those who've watched the video, there's a video of how I put that on, how that's mounted. We're going to take that off so I've got access so that I can put the scissor jack underneath here and lift the front of the bike up, and then we can see what's going on with the front suspension and how see if I can find where the play is. Right. Okay, so up on the scissor jack, front wheel off the ground. Let's see what we can find. Okay, so the mystery of the front forks, it's just an adjustment. I think basically I was being screwed by the fact that the weight was on the bike, so it had plenty of play in it, which you could tell when you were operating the front brake, the front wheel, you could feel it pulsing backwards and forwards. So you've got this top nut which pulls the stem up. You've also got a clamp bolt here, so I've freed all that off, done that back up, and I've pulled it up, and it's nice and smooth, no issues. And then I've got my hands in here, if I can get the camera angle right between the frame and the yoke, just to feel what you could feel when you're pulling on the forks, to see if you can sense any movement, and there's no play in that anymore. So what I've had to do is loosen off the handlebar clamps to be able to get this out of the way, to be able to get a spanner on the nut, so nothing too technical. So I'm just going to fiddle with that a little bit more just to make sure it's exactly where I want it to be. I'm going to clamp this little clamp bolt up here and make sure that doesn't change anything. I don't see why it should, but I just want to make sure that there's nothing stopping this from going backwards and forwards. But effectively, that's just really nice and smooth now, where before there was you could hear like a knocking. So anyway, next up, if I fix that, we're going to do the front brake. Right, okay, let's get into taking this apart. So we've got to take I'm going to take the hub out. And a bit of play on that. We've got a split pin on the other side of that pin. Hopefully I'm not in the way of the camera. Come on. Right, split pin out, pivot pin out, and a little washer. And just put that together so I don't lose it. Take the adjuster all the way out. Forks, which I'll show you in a minute. Right, that's off. So now all we need to do is get a spanner. Now, in theory, with the tap of my little hammer, might need a bit more. Here she goes, and then in here is that recess. Okay, so here's the brake plate removed. We've got a clamp nut here, and that's actually part of the pivot arrangement for the brake shoes. So we're going to need to knock this down, undo that. Looks like there's a fixing nut this side, which is also needs to come out. We're going to get this out, and we're going to put it in the lathe, and I'm going to drill a hole down the middle of it. Well, that's the plan. So let me get on with that, and I'll bring you back. Right, so I've taken the shoes off. You can see there's a slight difference between the pins. This one's got a, I'll get it in focus. That one's got a nut on it. It's got some nice little touches, so if we look at the pivot pin, it's actually got a grease nipple as part of it, so that it comes out in a hole around there, so you can grease it on the bike without taking it apart. This is obviously the bit that the brake cable moves to open and close the brake shoes. So all I've got to do now is undo this, and then we'll have a look at what I've got to do to drill a hole in it. Right, okay, so drilled and tapped a hole down the centre of that. I've turned a bolt with a tip on the front of it so we can mark it. I've made this aluminium spacer, which is a perfect fit between the tubes. Got some cutouts to miss some welds that are in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in between the tubes, hold it, put this in from behind, give it a smack with a hammer, and that's going to give me the ultimate position on this. Right, not sure I'm going to be able to hold this, do that, and all the rest of it, but I'll see if I can set you up in a position where you can watch what I'm doing. Right, okay, here goes. So we've got the aluminium, which is going to fit in there. A nice fit. We've got this. It's going to fit on top of there. And I'm just going to make sure that's as low as it will go. And I'm hoping how well you can see that. But there's the mark. So I'll drill a hole in that, and then the intention is we're going to make that into a slot so that it can be pinched up, and then that can be tapped down as tight as it will go, and then nippy nippy. Okay. Right, so there's the drilled and tapped hole, all assembled back together again. I've given the shoes a little rub with a wire brush. They've hardly been used. You almost no bedding in really, so they're going to take some playing with because the brakes weren't that great, but not necessarily because it's the wrong pad material or shoe material. Could just be the fact that they're just not bedding in yet. So we'll wait and see how that works out. So I'm going to put the wheel back together again with all the spacers, and then we'll see if I've got it right or not. Right, so the wheel's back in. That's what I've ended up making. So it's a perfect fit in between these tubes. The bolt goes through into the square. So it's not really trying to, the tension on the bolt is not really what we're looking for. It's the fact that this is a perfect fit inside the tubes, and that is a tight fit into the pin at the back. So it's just stopping that minute amount of movement. So I'm pretty happy with that. I could do with finding a spring washer, but at the moment I've just put a normal washer behind there, but I want to find a way of locking that in. The other thing I'm looking at is there is a space in here. If I try and zoom in, that, and I'm just wondering if I should put something in there. It's not bending the fork in there, obviously, because the fork is sat, this is just a location, if you like. I'm just wondering whether I could put something in there, and then when I clamp that up, it would just add a little bit of tension to it. I don't think it's necessary, but I'm thinking about it. So what do we got left to do? We got to put that brake cable back on, and then I'm going to spin the wheel up and make sure that's okay. I'm still thinking about the headstock tension. You can't get that feeling with this where you can feel literally like the balls going dunk, 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 dunk. It doesn't seem to have that sort of feel to it that you can tell that you've over tightened the bearings. So when I put this together 3 years ago, it had a steering where the handlebars or the front wheel didn't move smooth. It wasn't so much, it wasn't moving smoothly. It wouldn't come back. It was almost like you had to turn the handlebars to make. Another little job that I've done is, I can get it to focus, I bent the edge of the washer over, drilled a hole through it so I can put lock wire around it, and that's allowed me to get this oil pipe out of the way of this. So even though I've done all sorts of work with that, it is wearing it away. So I've gone for a, and get the women camera back on, I've gone for a different route for that. So it's all about just finding these little bits and fixing the little parts as you're going along for me, just tidying stuff up, looking at stuff that's not worked quite as well as it should have done, or I've missed, and maybe I've given it another thought. And yeah, quite pleased with that. Quite neat, even though I say it myself. Well, we're done. Well, we're as done as we're going to be. Now it needs a test drive. So thanks very much for watching. If you got this far, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And we'll catch you on the next one, where we'll do some more Norton stuff, I think. Anyway, see you later.